Good evening. I would like to call to order the Kaiser City Council. It is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Day?
Here.
Councilor Herrera?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Smith?
Here.
Councilor Kohler?
Here.
Councilor Duran?
Here.
And Councilor Reed.
Councilor Reed is excused this evening and wished safe travels through the ice storms. All right. With that, if you are able, please rise and all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody have a nice relaxing weekend? Good. So, about that nice relaxing weekend with an epic ice storm to make me wonder if 2021 forgot to reset itself and is trying to be 2020 number 2. I'd like to go to City Manager and to Mr. Bill Lawyer, who have also been extremely busy this weekend with the life safety and the start of recovery from this ice storm. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'm just going to go to Bill, and he's going to tell everyone sort of what steps the city has taken so far to help recovery and where we are and what the plan is from this point forward. Bill?
Thank you, Chris. Madam Mayor, Council. Public Works staff responded to calls starting Friday night, February 12th, about 6 p.m. Those two individuals worked through all night long, responding to calls from the police department and dispatch for down trees, down wires, those kinds of things. Pretty much through that time period, they were just blocking off roads. They weren't spending a lot of time clearing, cutting things. They were just stopping the roads, blocking the roads for safety's sake. Additional staff was brought in on Saturday with two-person crews working into the evening. The people that worked Friday night, of course, went home, got some sleep. Coordination with the police department was excellent during this event, with direct communication happening between the staff in both departments. That really helped us in getting accurate information. Not always, but sometimes going through dispatch, when there's a delay, and there's also the opportunity for information to get misconstrued and not be relayed accurately. By communicating directly, we just went and responded as needed to wherever it was. Through the night, we deployed 5 generators to traffic signals, Glenbrook, Sunset, Cummings on River Road, 14th and Lock Haven, and McLeod and Lock Haven. Those generators, that was all because the signals were without power. Generators ran pretty much continuously till about mid-afternoon on Sunday, when power was restored to the last signal. There was widespread damage to overhead lines, as we all know, causing roads to be closed until the lines could be cleared. Public Works staff will clear the rights of ways of all the debris from all damaged trees in the right of way. We will also clear debris in the right of way from trees on private property. Okay. Typically, trees in the right of way are the property owner's responsibility, given the state of the emergency and the natural disaster, if you will. Our ordinance allows that to be exempted and the city becomes responsible. So as of now, we've got all the collectors and arterials cleared. I'm not going to say all the local streets, but most of the local streets. There are 2 streets currently blocked by down lines. One of them is Newburgh Drive at 5173, and the other one is Greenwood east of Harcourt. The Greenwood situation, the way the wires come down, the residents are able to sneak by one side of it to get to their houses. So we've left that option for them if they want to do that. I believe that cable is a phone or cable TV wire, not a power wire, because it's on lower one on the pole. Typically the lower wires are the cable TV and the telephone. We established a collection site at the Little League facility yesterday morning, with hours of operation being 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll maintain these hours daily through this weekend and then determine if there's still a need for having it open daily or transition to the weekends only for the next 3 or 4 weeks, kind of depending on the need. That collection site is for tree debris from the storm only. No lumber, building materials, or other yard debris is allowed. The local haulers, Valley Garbage and Lawrence Sanitation, are providing a front-end loader and drop boxes at that site to load up the debris and haul it to Browns Island for disposal. Marion County has notified us there will be no fees for disposal of the debris. Our cost will be the hauler's hard cost for fuel, equipment, driver labor, etc. And they are committed to doing the right thing for the city of Kaiser. Parks. Any questions on the streets and what I've covered so far?
Anybody?
Actually, I
Question?
can add something really quick.
Okay.
It has come to our attention that information was put out Marion County wide that our site is a collection site for debris generally. And it isn't. We're really only collecting debris for Kaiser residents. We're not trying to collect debris from throughout the county or from Salem. So if you're in those areas, we apologize, but please, limit that site for Kaiser residents only, because otherwise it will become overwhelmed and we are having to cover the cost of removal of that debris, so.
I might add, City Manager, that Salem announced today 4 drop-off sites. So I encourage everybody to push that out there through media so people can go to their most local collection site. So I was very happy to see those come online.
Parks. Parks got hit pretty hard. Parks closed until further notice are Bear Park, Claggett Creek Park, Country Glen Park, Sunset Park, and Wallace House Park completely. Kaiser Rapids, the forested area, and the boat ramp are closed because of downed trees. And hazards in the forested area that we honestly haven't really fully inspected yet. The bathrooms at the Big Toy are closed because they don't have any power. As we move through this cleanup in this part of the event, in the city parks where there's large trees that have come down, like Claggett, the south end of Claggett is almost brings tears to my eyes. It's that devastated. There's some very large, mature oaks and maples that are gonna just have to be cut down. My plan at this point is we'll have them taken down. We're not gonna be able to do that work. We're gonna have to hire that to be done. And direct the company or companies doing the work to just buck up the wood and leave it laying in the park, so it'll be free for the public to take. We just ask that if they're there to get it, please don't drive into the park. Use a wheelbarrow to get the wood from the park to the vehicle or the parking lot, whichever the case may be. I don't have any kind of a schedule for that right now. But if you see the trees being cut up, you live by a park, you see the trees being cut up, the wood's there free for the taking. Any questions on parks?
Councilor Herrera?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I apologize, Bill, but I didn't quite get that about the parks. If there's any, my neighbors have actually cut some up, and they just left it there, and I go, they asked about that wood.
It's free for the taking. First come, first serve.
Okay,
Yeah.
I told them I would check, so that's, thank you very much for.
You bet.
And by the way, they were helping because they cleared a lot of areas and.
Absolutely. And residents picking up the wood that's left is a big help to the city, because then we don't have to get rid of it, deal with it. It's there, and some of that's going to be really good firewood in a year or so. There's a lot of other issues throughout the park system that we'll be dealing with this through the days and weeks ahead. But I just want to highlight the closed parks right now. The water system did very well. At one point, we had 6 pump stations without power. Some had auxiliary power, some didn't. Staff modified the programming of the system to run other wells or other pump stations that had power, and it just performed very well. The right site, which is up North Kaiser, has a well and a reservoir. It still doesn't have power, but we're running our generator, keeping fuel in it, and it's operating just fantastically. So that's all good news. That's a test we don't want to have to do, but a test that really proves the system functions well and can run continuously for an extended period. We have some minor damage, trees damaged at Delta Pump Station, Wrights, Wiesner, Burnside, and 17th. No building damage per se, just cleanup and stuff we'll have to take care of. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Councilor Rivera?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, sorry. In regards to the power outages in the pump stations, isn't there any pump stations that are, the generators automatically kick on, or is that something that has to be done? I know there's something that have to do manual, but.
No, we have various stations that will start automatically when they're called for. In this instance, very few of the ones, they're the larger wells that don't typically run this time of year. And so they were available, but weren't needed. We were able to get by with the smaller wells throughout the system.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Any other questions of Mr. Lawyer? Council President Smith and then Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lawyer, how many Public Works employees do you have?
In the department, when we're fully staffed, we have 26 people, including myself.
So you were running all of that with about 26 people? Or are you fully staffed
Actually, we
right now?
ran that with about 15 people.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Bravo.
And I want to commend all my staff because they really handled this very well. They didn't even contact me until, I don't know, mid-Saturday. They were confident in what they were doing. They didn't really think I needed to be involved. I let them know that I'd like to at least be made aware. I don't necessarily need to be involved, but I want to be able to answer questions. But no, they all did very, very well, and I couldn't be more proud of them. So, thank you.
I'd like to piggyback on that. When I called you about setting up the debris drop-off stations and so forth, your quick response and then the rapidity with which that was then underway, and we could get that out to people who really want to just get that stuff out of the yard and start moving forward in a safe manner. That's what everybody was telling me, was really, really helpful. And the love that people felt toward Kaiser as they were coming in and bringing their loads yesterday, it really, really was a plus for everybody involved. Thank you so much. That was a fantastic effort.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so much of what we all do in Public Works on a daily basis is taken for granted. People don't understand really what it takes to do all the things we do on a daily basis. And so when we perform like we did this weekend, which is not ordinary, but it's not out of the ordinary either. That really means a lot to hear the good things and the compliments. I did want to mention, you mentioned the Little League staging facility for the debris. To give you an idea, I just told my folks, look, we're going to use Little League South parking lot for debris. Figure out how to make it work. I didn't go up there. I didn't lay it out. I said, you guys know as much as I do about this. Set it up, make it work. So kudos to them.
Yep, it was make it so, and it happened.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I also want to thank Councilor Smith for your efforts in working our webpage and our Facebook page and getting all that information out to citizens. That made a big difference. I want to echo what Bill said about our Public Works staff. They're second to none. They really are. They're spectacular people, hardworking. They all do a great job. So we're very blessed here in Kaiser.
Yes, indeed. Bravo. Councilor Kohler.
Well, ditto to all that. Plus, I was just going to say that I had several constituents call and express their appreciation. As you know, Wheatland Ferry down by where I lived was just covered with trees. And the crew came in and just did an amazing job cleaning it all up. And a lot of people called me and said, wow, I can't believe they're doing that all so quickly. And then of course, there's always the one that calls and says, I haven't seen anybody out working. It's like, okay, where have you been? But just express my appreciation by via the constituents that called me. I appreciate all you've done and the way it was handled. It was very, very well done.
Thank you.
So going forward, you said that the debris collection site will be open through the weekend. Is that Saturday or Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday,
10 to 5?
10 to 5.
10 to 5 every day through Sunday, and then have people watch for Facebook and our website for dates and times should we need them the following week. Is that the message out there?
Yes, and I'm hoping by Thursday, ideally by Thursday, we'll have a better feel for the need and the use of that site and be able to make a determination at that point if we're going to switch to weekends only, especially for next week. So we can at least give people a heads up and a little fair warning of when it's going to be available.
Okay. And we'll help push that message out there. I know all of us are using all of our media and neighborhood contacts, and I see Carol Dorfler from West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. Thank you for getting messaging out to folks and also for calling in the down power line and tree on Shoreline and Cummings. So thank you for that. And I see Bob Bush here, and I know you're associated, you and Colleen, with Southeast Kaiser Neighborhood Association. Again, kudos to you all for getting that messaging out. And Patty Tischer, you're probably watching because I know you do. And she helped with Gubser in messaging and getting information out. So the network of quickly responding and making sure that we got out accurate information was so important, that we made sure we got the right things out. Mr. Lawyer.
One more thing, Madam Mayor. I wanted to express a sincere thank you to you and Council President Smith for delivering the snacks and drinks to my staff on Sunday, I think that was?
Saturday.
Saturday. I lost track of which day.
Yeah,
Anyway, thank you very much. It was greatly appreciated. And I heard about it again this morning from them. They thought that was very nice.
They deserved it.
Absolutely. And then some.
Yeah.
In speaking with the haulers, they're going to do their very best to work on pricing with drop boxes, and they're encouraging if you have a number of neighbors that could utilize a large box, to split that cost. They're gonna try to make that pricing good so that people can get their neighborhoods cleaned up. But they're encouraging pockets of neighbors to get together, drop a box, and all fill it. So, but they're ready to help. They're a good community partner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they reached out to John Sullivan. He got a hold of me as soon as he came up here and surveyed the damage. It's like, okay, let's do this. Ready to help out. So, and then Mike from Valley, same deal.
And one other thing I want to mention with the hours of the collection site, we decided to make it 10 o'clock to open to give the haulers a chance to get ahead of things in the morning. Get up there early. They'll probably be up there 7 o'clock, maybe even earlier tomorrow morning, starting to load material out because we're running out of room. And so that's why we elected to wait until 10 to open it for the public. That way it gives them that few more hours to get things picked up and get ready for the next day's debris drop off. So
Fantastic. And then another thing that people started asking, well, I don't have a truck, what do I do? And so one of the options, of course, is neighbors getting together for Dropbox, but the other was to ask our community pages, let people post, I need, I can, and let people match make based on those posts rather than try to organize something citywide because each neighborhood is different. Some have already taken care of things, others are still discovering the depth of the damage, so that's going to be an evolving thing. So again, I want to thank all of the Facebook community boards, and then RJ Navarro also reached out and he put together some outreach as well to try to make sure that people could connect up and have truck, need truck, go. Mr. Lawyer.
I keep thinking of things, and this is something I should have written down and I didn't. I want to express my appreciation to all the citizens in the city that assisted public works crews without public works crews being there. An area up on Jamar off of Manzanita, for instance, was decimated along the street trees, and the neighbors went out there and just went to town and cleared the road, cleared the branches, left the debris beside the road, but that's fine, we'll pick it up. That's just one area that I personally saw. I know it happened in other areas of the city, and thank you to everybody that did all that work and took some of that burden off my staff.
Well, it's a community, and I know we all feel ownership of our town, our communities, and I really also want to thank people who have been checking on their neighbors. Speaking of which, I've been getting phone calls, emails from people who are very, very concerned, upset, because they have medically fragile family members or they themselves are on CPAP machines and they don't have the battery backups. Quite a number of people do, and they've been posting where to get those, but that's going to take a while to get here. They'll be ready for the next one, which we hope won't happen. But in the meantime, I have reached out to Daryl Fuller with the Red Cross, with Marion County, to see what he can do to assist people who are still without power and have medically fragile family members. This is an area where, as the time frame has gotten more prolonged for specific pockets in town, that this is becoming more and more difficult for families that have medically fragile members. And we're going to need people to reach out to the neighbors, reach out to family members, especially if people know that they are going to be without power for a time period, and PGE cannot give us a date certain because they're still unearthing the depth and the breadth of the damage, although they made tremendous progress today, as did Salem Electric. So just want to reach out there. Councilor Day, you were thinking.
I'm just thinking, I want to know when my power is going to be back on. But I do want to say this. I agree with what Mr. Lawyer was saying and what my fellow counselors have said. The word heroic comes to mind. What your staff did was nothing short of unbelievable. I mean, it really, when I got out and drove around Saturday morning, even though I wasn't supposed to, but I did anyways, and I saw it, and then to see where we're at today, just a few days later, it's unbelievable, absolutely unreal. It's unbelievable to me, and I people in my neighborhood, they all banded together and we helped clean everything up, but to see what your staff did, it's unbelievable.
Well done.
Thank you.
And also a big shout out to other folks that also had a tremendous impact, calls for service with our Kaiser police. You know, people were scared. And there were things happening and you guys responded and with caring. And really, really appreciate you all and the coordination, public safety, public works, and our partners down at Kaiser Fire District for responding during this this emergency and then now our recovery. So thank you. Anything else that we want to cover right now in terms of the recovery from the ice storm? Questions? Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, Bill, was there any major damage? It comes to mind the storm where Chief and I were at and the tree went right through a house and all that up at Meadows. Was there anything like that happen or no major? Thank God.
Not that I'm aware of. I've not heard of any significant structural damage or even significant vehicle damage through all this event. I'm a little surprised, honestly, but I have not heard of anything.
One in my
significant.
neighborhood.
And I want to echo the bravo to you guys because I know what it's like to be out there in the storm, the way you guys operate, and that says something about public works where you already know what they know what they're going to do. Nobody has to. I like that, and that's teamwork, and that's the way it should be. That's awesome.
Thank you.
A lot of compliments from our neighborhood, and we did the same thing. All pockets do we did our little part in clearing the road, but the majority that was done by the heavy lifting was done by you guys. I got up and it was already done. Of course, I get up at 11. No, no, I seriously, I mean, it was incredible, and or to quote Councilor Day, unbelievable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was a home across from Cummings Elementary that got hit pretty bad. But as I've gone around town and as I've been watching the posts and reports coming in, I also have been absolutely gratified with this could have been way worse. Could have been way, way worse with with trees and limbs hitting houses and so forth. So I think that for the people who have been severely impacted, it was the way worse. And I know that we'll rally around and continue to support our families in our neighborhoods as they recover. But because the rest of us are in a space we can assist because we are in a good space. So appreciate that.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, one thing I want to caution all of the community on, there's a lot of hangers out there. Call them what you will, Widowmaker, I don't care what name you put on, they're dangerous. I really, really don't know how we're going to deal with that yet for street trees and those kind of things. We don't have the equipment. We're going to have to rely on tree companies to do that work. That's going to take a while. In the interim, please, please look up. Anything looks dangerous, avoid the area, please. And if you see something that you feel is extremely dangerous, please let the city know so we can get out and assess it and move it up on the schedule if we need to, or whatever we need to do, we will. But that's part of this cleanup and recovery that honestly is going to take weeks or months to complete. And short of using contractors, I don't know how else we're going to accomplish it, so.
Councilor Herrera?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bill, great point, because we live right across from Park, as you know, and folks out there have the kids, don't climb those trees.
Yeah.
Really, because our
God,
park,
no.
kids are always climbing trees, and right now I've got them staked off, and you just never know.
Right.
But general public, please keep the kids off the trees and be safe out there. Thanks for that reminder, Bill. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Council President Smith?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would say in the last 24 hours, I've seen a lot of the landscaping companies actually doing the work on trees that I think are technically our responsibility. So a thank you to them, the ones that are taking care of those neighborhoods. I noticed on McClure, it is McClure, which was completely blocked, and the school has significant amount of tree damage as well. But it's opened up again, and I'm pretty sure, I think we did some of it, but I saw a couple landscape companies out there cleaning it up for people. And so a shout out to them and thankful to them. And overall, Kaiser, I know Mayor Clark and I, we went around town while we were scrambling on Saturday for you guys to be able to block everything. The number of neighbors that went out and blocked down power lines with whatever they had, garbage cans, anything to get them out in the road. And that was quite interesting trying to get to her house, because it was like, oh, can't go that way, nope, can't go that way, because there's so many trees and lines down. And just the neighborhoods and the citizens of Keizer, how they came out and took care of things. It really was just so gratifying to know that we live in that kind of a community. So I personally want to thank every neighbor who stepped up to help the people around them, because that was just spectacular to see. And thank you for that at Kaiser.
All right. So everybody keep informed. Let's make sure that we share information and, share it from a single source so that we don't, so we keep all the messaging consistent. And we'll look to any messaging coming out being approved by a city manager or by Mr. Lawyer to make sure that we get it correct. Good? All right. Speaking of community partners who really stepped up during emergencies in 2020 and are doing it again 21, we have with us tonight Carrie Fallero, and we have the interim director of the Kaiser Chamber of Commerce, Mark Callier. A very familiar sight, sir, former city councilor. Good to see you. So start off with the chamber and work your way down your list. We also have you here for a number of reasons.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor, I appreciate that. Bill, we have an opening coming up, and I've got a job description if you want to apply, because apparently you're not needed here. So, we'd like to look at that. I'd like to just tell you that when I started my journey with the chamber here years ago, I never anticipated that I'd ever be working as an interim director, and I obviously thought I'd misread Danielle Bethel entirely, because I discovered that, like most things, that once you start walking in somebody else's job and somebody else's shoes, it's a lot different than what you thought it was. And quite frankly, her shoes, heels really hurt my ankles. And so,
Takes talent.
yeah, so what I can tell you is this, is that 40 years working around 911 centers, I was always amazed at the amount of and the number and the type of calls and requests that we would get in police departments. I mean, anything that you could think of and many that you could not would come in and you'd be asked to do. I never anticipated that would be what it's like at the chamber. Every day we get calls from folks wanting to know about this, that, and the other thing, city services, county services, community service, all kinds of stuff. If it wasn't for Corey and her background in providing human services and knowing all this stuff, it is amazing the amount of community service the chamber does on a daily basis. The number of unsheltered, homeless folks that come in every week wanting information where they can go, maps. I provide you some documents that you have in front of you. You have the new directory that's just out. We have 5,000 copies, so please widely distribute them to your friends. With all kinds of community information there. I have this thing that many of you will know. None of your grandchildren or grandnieces and nephews will know what this is. This is called a map. And the best thing you can do with your kids with this is open it up and then ask them to fold it back. It's worth an hour of time just for them trying to figure out how to put the thing back together again. Also, you'll see updated information about all kinds of different things going around the community, particularly a 10 ways the chamber works for you, all that good stuff that we try to put out there. But the reason why I want to talk to you today is to let you know a couple things. We've come through the last 10 or 12 months, and we keep thinking it's going to get better, and it's going to get better. And what we are doing at the chamber is we are not only providing the day-to-day services, but we are making an effort to make sure that we try to make 2021 as normal as possible. Now, there's going to be change, and that's just the way it is. And quite frankly, diversity of ideas and innovation is the lifeblood of any organization, and it's particularly true here in Kaiser, particularly true of the Kaiser Chamber. If you remember, by this time, we would have had the First Citizen Banquet. We didn't have a First Citizen Banquet because of COVID. We couldn't. But we are going to have a First Citizen Celebration. And right now the nominations are out there for the community to nominate people for the First Citizen, as well as educator, merchant, and then of course we'll have our President's Award that we always have. And they are to be in by March 7th, because on the 8th we're going to be choosing those, and on the 20th, at 7 p.m. on the 20th, through a number of different media outlets that we will be providing as we get them on board, we will be having those presentations. And we'd like to have, of course, as many people aware of that as possible. And we're going to try to make it the best that we can and make it a special day, particularly for those award winners. So that will be March 20th. We usually have a celebration coming up here in May. We used to call it the Irish Festival. Now we call it the Keizer Fest. It's been moved to the first full weekend of August. It's going to be different. There are almost no carnivals in existence anymore, for example. And they certainly don't want to have anything to do with a small celebration like what we have in their mind. So it'll be different. It's not going to have a carnival this year, but we're going to try to put together some kind of carnival, fun atmosphere, because it's a family event. Again, it'll be the first weekend in August. You'll hear more about that later. We are looking for a new executive director. That will close on the 19th. I provided you announcements for that, job description. If you know somebody who might be interested, we have a tremendous amount of local talent. But I will tell you, we are advertising this region-wide. Western states have this information. The Oregon State Chamber has this information. And so we anticipate that the competition will be keen. And when will we have a new executive director? It's when we find the right person. So I'm not putting any timeline other than that the resumes and letters of interest are due by March 19th. As the mayor mentioned, we've been really busy this year. We continue to be busy with the Santiam Canyon Wildfire Relief effort. We meet weekly with the Santiam Service Integration Team every week. providing different services, providing different resources to them. I have never seen as much community service as I see coming out of the Keizer Chamber. It is a daily operation. It's not just, once a month. Today, we provided sanitizer and masks to the 2 warming centers that are opened up today, St. Edward's and St. Evangelical. We'll continue to help them as best we can. We're also got the information out about the debris transfer stations and provided the information that Kaiser provided, not the information that everybody else was getting about it being countywide. But we'll emphasize that. We are growing. We have seen a reduction, but we've got 2 new members and upgraded members, 10 members and upgraded members since January 1st. So that's a good job. Corey's doing a tremendous job there. We continue to support the McNary Booster Club with a graduation party. They meet at our location and help them as they're putting that together. The Kaiser Network of Women, they're giving baskets. This year, 190 families, 550 kids, 200 boxes of food, and 1,100 gifts. And we anticipate that will be bigger next year. We continue our partnership with the Latino Business Alliance. And we are upping our game and trying to attract a diverse group of business owners in the Keizer community. As you know, we are responsible for the Keizer community calendar. That's no small feat. We have people all the time wanting to put stuff on there. We want people to use that calendar. Go to the Keizer Chamber site, use the Keizer community calendar, get your community event on there, get your organization's event on there. That's where you need to go so you can see what's happening in Kaiser. And we monitor that, we edit that, we make sure that it has the information that everybody needs and it's accurate. We continue to support our schools when they're meeting. Obviously this week they're not, but we continue to get requests to help schools. If you know anybody that needs any Oregon road maps like you have, but like the 2017 edition, we've got 300 of them. We'd be glad to give those to schools so they can use them for confetti or something. We continue to work with the Oregon State Chamber. We're very active, as most of the organizations are around Salem. This time of year, and this year with the legislative work, we continue to be very active in that. We are members of the legislative committee, and we spend an awful lot of time supporting legislative activities that support small businesses particularly. Every week, we put out a newsletter. Every Monday, and that newsletter comes out. Not only does it talk about Greeters, which is an organization that at 8:30 on Tuesday morning, you can come and talk to 30 or 40 of small business owners and chamber members, and maybe look to see if you're interested in chamber. Always have interesting talks, great information. And inside that newsletter, we continue to provide COVID-19 information. We continue to provide information about where folks can get protective equipment, education, what are the latest rules, what are the latest concerns. We provide training and information on how to deal with federal programs and state programs such as the Paycheck Protection Program. We continue to provide that as a voice of not only the chamber but as the community. We will have our Percy auction again in September, like we always do. There'll be a couple golf tournaments as well. The Holiday Light Parade hopefully will be back and everything. By this time next year, we'll be looking back and go, gee, that wasn't so tough. Look at all the neat things we're doing. And so I've been asked, so where's the chamber heading? I will tell you this, the chamber is in, quite frankly, in good financial shape. It is, it's ready to be led to the next level by the next executive director. It is I think that what you're going to see in the next 3 to 4 years will be surprising even for this community. Right now, we're a little over 400 members. We certainly could be much higher than that. But we are also getting membership from outside of Keizer that are joining us because they're seeing how effective we can be. So with that, I'll be glad to entertain any questions you might have about the chamber.
Thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate you being here and your leadership and keeping the chamber really pushing forward for our small businesses. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could you explain, and by the way, thank you for attending our Oregon Latinx Leadership Network meeting, which was, I was surprised to see you and I thought it was great. Although it was healthcare, that particular meeting, it was very nice to see you. That was a very good.
Thank you, Councilor. Appreciate that.
And I took the time to introduce you to our, and by the way, those are from all over the state of Oregon. You're probably aware of that. Question on the first citizen, which you are a first citizen. How is that going to work on the in March?
You're going to have to tune in and figure that out.
So you don't have no format right now?
Oh,
or?
we have. Oh, absolutely. But we're not sharing it.
Okay.
Because that's going to wreck the surprise for the folks that are doing it.
Okay. The reason I ask is, I'd like to be involved in it. And
Absolutely.
it's really good. Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you for stepping up to do this, Mark. I know that you've done so many things in our community, and that this is just the next thing you've done, and I just really appreciate that.
Well, just
Thank
like
you.
most of you folks, I was voluntold by a persuasive person, and so here I am.
That never happens, does it, Councilor?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Callier? Council President Smith.
No, I have no question. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to let you know that on social media right now, Corey is a rock star, has been popping up throughout this entire thing. So good job, Corey. And,
He is, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because I see all these and it's pretty cute. And I just wanted to thank you. Actually, Kaiser Chamber is by far one of the most informative groups that I get messaging from within my actual job. And I am a member of a couple different chambers for our company. And the information is concise, it's accurate, it's timely, and you guys are doing a really great job with it. So I thank you because, as many different things that are coming at us, it's nice sometimes I actually just go to that to find out what's going on, just so I don't miss something. So good job, keep up the great work. Thank you guys for being such great partners with us.
Yeah. The base of a great organization has been laid by my predecessor, and we're just excited about what the future holds.
Excellent.
Thank you. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Callier, you said that you don't know when the new executive director will be selected, and until then, we're pleased and happy to have you.
Well, I appreciate that, but I will tell you that sooner the better.
Well,
I got fishing and traveling to do.
as long as we can get that done in the next couple of years, we'll be okay.
My son bought some property up in Washington. He bought a farm, and I got a tractor in my shop, and it needs to be ran.
As a council liaison to the chamber, I see so many things that are going on, and I'm just so impressed all the time. But thank you for coming and giving us an update, the state of the state, so to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? So, and again, to you and to Corey and to all of the board members and all of the business people in this community, because the business people in the community are community members. Live here, work here, invest here, have neighbors, friends, family, and this is what makes such a strong community. Thank you, Mark.
You bet.
Thank you, Corey. Yeah, you are a rock star. I loved your Facebook post popping up today and over the weekend, and really helping get information out to people, because it was very comforting when people saw, oh, this is being taken care of. This is what's happening. Knowledge is power. And when people are facing uncertainty, to have that kind of knowledge at their fingertips that they can rely on really made a difference. So thank you. All right. Do you want to switch hats, sir?
If I may.
Please do. Which hat would you like to wear now?
I think the planning commission, because it's the easiest one.
Okay, let's go with easy.
I got selected to be the council liaison for this date to tell you that you were at the same meeting I was, so you already know what I have to say. And that's about housing needs analysis and the buildable lands, and we need more and don't have enough. So That's my report.
Fair.
Where are we?
We're still on special orders of business, but actually we're going into liaison reports because Mr. Callier wears several hats.
Just two more.
Okay.
If there's, we have the community center cleanup coming up. It's the 11th. I'm glad we got this ice storm out of the way. It just makes it that much easier to trim. So, and to clean up. So, it will be, March 13th, 9 o'clock. We need 100 people. There's at least 15 of you here. So we only need 85 people. We will be practicing all COVID measures. Everything will be outside. We will people will be kept in groups. We will have outside registration. We'll be having gloves. We'll have masks. We'll have hand sanitizers, and we'll get it done. It's we thought we had last year. We did about 30 yards. I would suspect we're going to do all of that this year. It just depends on how much we get done between now and then. Yeah, and then on the 12th, the day before, is when we do the trimming. So I've already got a crew lined up, and we got about 6 to 8 people. But if anybody's got a hedge trimmer, gas, not electric, I have to tell you the story. I'm sorry. Sunday, watching a neighbor go out, trying to trees, and I walked out there, and he comes out, and I say, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Oh, I got to cut these trees down." He goes, "Well, hey, can you need some help?" I said, "No, I got it." So I'm going to get my chainsaw. And so when he got his chainsaw, he put it down, and I'm looking at his chainsaw. And he goes back up, and he goes into his garage, and he comes out, and he pulls this great big long cord out, and he starts connecting his electric chainsaw. I live in Gubster. We haven't had power since Friday. So I went and got my gas still chainsaw, and we got it done, but it didn't. We're all laughing, but how many of you during this went around flipping light switches on? I'm still doing it, so yeah.
It's such a force of habit, isn't
It
it?
is such a force of habit. So anyway, community center cleanup on the 13th. So please, if you can be there, it's great. It's 9 o'clock. It's one of those things. The more people we have, the quicker it goes, and we're usually done by 11 o'clock if everybody helps. And I know McNary ROTC is going to be there.
Awesome.
So that's a big boost for us right there. And of course, that's provided by the Keizer Rotary, and also Callier Creek Watershed Council coordinates the effort. Keizer Rotary, along with the community center cleanup, is also partnered with the Marion County employee shed building folks. Marion County employees want to build storage sheds there's over a list of over 100 families up in the canyon that need storage sheds because they have no place to put anything on their site without it walking away. So they're building 8 by 12 wood sheds, and they're going to be doing this on the 27th. Keizer Rotary Foundation is accepting donations. I think we're getting near $4,000 right now. We're accepting donations to help build these sheds, and then on the 27th, we'll be with Marion County employees out on Silverton Road putting sheds together. So if you are so inclined, if you wish to help that effort, go to Keizer Rotary the website, Keizer Rotary Foundation. You'll see an announcement there where you can donate, and thank you very much if you do that. Also, the Callier Creek Watershed Council has 3 openings on their general council. A person who resides or owns property along the creek, Claggett Creek, a Salem resident, or a Marion County resident. All 3 of those openings are available. If folks want to participate with the Callier Creek Watershed Council, and then go to the Callier Creek Watershed Council's website and get more information about that. I think that's all I got.
That's it?
Corey? Just when my brain empties, she comes by and puts some more stuff in it.
All right. Thank you very much. So we did go into committee reports with the Planning Commission report and Callier Creek Watershed Council. And thank you for the information on those events. And there's lots of information to share out where people can continue to make a difference for our neighbors in the canyon. Corey, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Do you have anything you want to add? No? You've been on camera all weekend anyway, so we'll share your bright, shining face. Get the microphone.
Fog up everything. I just think it's a great thing that Kaiser stepped up, and it wasn't just the chamber or the council, but it was the people that made all the difference. And thank you to Public Works, and I know some folks that work for you, and I know that they, you know, gave their time that, you know, necessarily they weren't supposed to work, and that's so appreciated. But we are looking forward to some great candidates for the new executive director position, and Mark and I are having a lot of fun down there, so you can pop in and pick up a directory or a box or two. That'd be great, but come by and see us. We'd love to have you all. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work. All right. Anybody else here for committee reports? All right, other liaison reports that we will do then later in the agenda. That takes us then to public testimony. This time is provided to allow citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have 2 public hearings scheduled for this evening. Item 7A, the Kaiser Development Code, Text Amendment Section 2.114, General Industrial Composting Facilities, and Item 7B, Ordinance declaring a lien against property located at 701 Claggett Street Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon, and directing the city recorder to enter such lien into the minor lien docket. So if you're here for those, stand by. Otherwise, the time is yours to come and address the council. I don't have anybody signed up with a lovely blue sheet at this point, but if somebody would like to address the council, please, you are welcome to do so. Going once, going twice. All right, let's go on to our public hearings then. I'd like to open the public hearing for item 7A, the Kaiser Development Code Text Amendment Section 2.114, General Industrial Composting Facilities. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Shane Witham.
Thank you, City Manager, Madam Mayor, City Council. So tonight's text amendment is to Section 2.114, our IG zone, which curiously enough is called the General Industrial Zone. I'm not sure why the letters are transposed, they just always happen. And basically this was an item that actually came before council back in December 7th meeting. Staff had come to council and kind of asked if council would like us to initiate a process to look into possibly amending the code. The background, we had a developer that approached city staff about the possibility of developing an in-vessel enclosed composting facility that's an organic composting facility on property in the Kaiser Station Area A, kind of north of the BPA station, on some industrial general zoned land. And as we looked at the code provisions and allowable uses, we found that composting facilities are actually not allowed currently in the IG zone. So staff had done some research, looked at this particular developer's proposal on how they do their composting. It is fully contained. It's not like the big piles of compost that we see around here. They had some different examples that we looked at. They had some examples online in different states where different facilities were located that they had developed. And frankly, in looking at it, it seemed that the actual use and the function of the site was pretty similar to other industrial type uses that we already allowed. So we went to Planning Commission in January and had a public hearing. We met via Zoom that meeting, and we'd received a couple of citizen letters prior to that meeting, which I included in the packet for your all's reference. The prospective developer and their representative, Phil Martin wanted to be here tonight, but he lives over in Central Oregon and was concerned about braving the pass, so he sent some written comments in. And in those written comments, he did say that if any of you had additional questions, he would be happy to be gotten on the phone, but just couldn't be here in person. And I understood that. I told him, stay safe. So essentially, the text amendment is maybe one of the most finite and minimal text amendments I've ever written. We essentially are adding in the text under the conditional use section, which would be like page 7 of your packet. just a new category under conditional uses to allow composting facilities as defined by ORS 227 when such facilities are enclosed and do not utilize outside static pile or windrow composting methods. We purposefully felt it was appropriate to keep the scope narrow. Didn't necessarily feel that the larger facilities with big piles, those tend to create some additional problems or concerns with neighbors due to smell and leachate and different things that this in-vessel enclosed composting dynamic doesn't create. The Planning Commission ultimately voted 5-1 to approve the text amendment. There was a pretty robust discussion, and the developers were available via Zoom and answered a lot of questions. Those generally were related to some of the environmental concerns, proximity to Claggett Creek, and those types of questions that were asked. The one thing that we talked a lot about at Planning Commission, and I want to just remind and reiterate, is we're proposing a text amendment that would allow this type of facility on our industrial general zoned land. It's not specific to a property in Keizer Station. It's not specific to this developer per se. There'd be a lot of other steps involved for them to actually move forward with the development in Keizer Station. You have to do master planning. There's some other hoops that will definitely have to be jumped through before something would get developed. But really, when we looked at it, we felt that it made sense in the guise of, is it in industrial use or is it not an industrial use? And so that's why we are proposing that narrow provision. It would still require conditional use approval, which ultimately gives the city the ability to address any kind of those mitigations that would be needed to make sure the site can function successfully and without impacts to surrounding properties. With that, I would be happy to answer any of your questions.
Perfect. Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, thank you for your work on this. And, I was intrigued by reading about the in-vessel concept. I like that. Now, do you know if these are plastic or metal containers that they'll be using?
Yeah, so what they described is essentially like shipping type containers that
It'll
would
be metal probably.
So they're metal, but then they actually have a liner within them.
Figured.
And then there's a floor in the bottom where they inject the air in, and then all of the water, I guess, that, as it decomposes and whatnot, it's held within that vessel and then able to put out, so it's not just leaking out onto the ground or anything like that.
And I really appreciate, I think that's that whole in-vessel concept is really, and by the way, thank Mr. Holman for the letter. It educated me a little bit on that too, as far as, composting the whole matter. But I like this in-vessel stuff. It's pretty good. And I appreciate your work on this. And the biggest, to me, benefit is the no order. That's huge, because I used to live by composting.
Right.
So I know that's a huge benefit, and thank you for working again. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councilor Day.
Mr. Witham, it says composting facilities is defined and regulated by ORS 227. That's the statute relating to land use planning for cities. I don't know where it says, I see the definition of compost in 227-600 and disposal site in 227-600. I looked through today, I didn't see it, doesn't mean it's not there. Where is composting facilities defined and regulated in ORS Chapter 227?
Yeah, so the parent chapter is in 227, and then you're right, the 0600, I think there's a couple of other provisions in there. With composting facilities in the state of Oregon, they have to receive approval through DEQ before they can actually move forward at a local level anyway. So there's some provisions they have to have a pre-application conference, and they have to have a community-based meeting. So that's why that additional clarification was added in there, to
But it's
connect
not,
that.
composting facilities is not defined or regulated by ORS Chapter 227. That's what I don't understand. That's a problem, I think.
Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Johnson?
So I have not looked at that in relation to this. When it came up at the Planning Commission, there is a provision in there, and I think I saw it. I think the problem, as Councilor Day mentions, is the phrase defined and regulated. Because I don't know if it's defined. Basically, what Shane is talking about is a provision in there that requires that, I think it references the DEQ approval, but also requires this community meeting. So that's what it needs. So we'll probably adjust the language there, if we may, Madam Mayor, between now and the actual adoption.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, so are we voting on adopting these proposed changes? What are we voting on then? If
So,
this isn't the
if I can-
language we're voting on.
No, that's correct. We are, this is a public hearing on input on what will then go into the final ordinance, which will come back to us for final adoption.
Okay.
So this is the hearing part, find the stuff that we and the public would like to make changes or comments on, and then Shane will bring us back the final draft.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. Other questions on the staff report? I don't have anybody signed up for testimony. Is there anybody who would like to speak to this? And Mr. Holman, who's here tonight, we do have your written testimony in the packet, so thank you for submitting that. And we also have another written testimony from Steph Duncan, also in the packet, on page 12, I believe. So anybody who would like to speak to that? This, the composting. Going once, going twice. All right, and staff, council, any further questions before we close the public hearing? Good? 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 You good, sir? Ferrera, Councilor Ferrera, you good? Okay. Councilor Day, you good? Do you have another question?
No, I mean, I guess as long as we're not voting on this, then yeah, I'm fine.
No, we're voting on the input you just gave will go into the final draft. Am I correct, Mr. Witham?
Yeah, but, that's clearly up to council as to how they want to deal with the motion. That would,
Okay.
I mean, I'll defer to Mr. Johnson.
So it'll be as, I don't know if that's corrected or as updated regarding the ORS reference? Would that be, yeah, Mr. Johnson?
Right, so the recommendation is that you open the public hearing, close the public hearing if you're ready to close it, and direct staff to prepare an ordinance. So you vote tonight on a motion, but the actual ordinance wouldn't get adopted until next meeting or one after when we bring the ordinance back. So the motion should just indicate that you're not voting on the exact language there that, you know, based on revising that section. So the motion should probably include that, now that Councilor Day has pointed that out.
Okay. Do we need to reference that section, or is it in the record by discussion?
I think you can say if there's no objection as amended. Actually, as amended would be inappropriate because you're not voting on the exact language. So probably the motion should just indicate directing the city attorney to revise the language in that section.
Okay. And do we need to reference that section? Because I didn't write it down, although Council President Smith maybe did. Nope.
It is section 2.114.04 sub C.
Okay. Got that one?
We're revising the
So-
language.
With revisions, so it'll be to
Revision to the language
But-
of subsection.
come back with an ordinance with findings and the revisions to 2.114.04 parens C.
Right, and Madam Mayor, when we bring that back at that meeting, my staff report will explain the language.
Thank you. Very good. All right, anything else before I close the public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Council President Smith?
I move that the Kaiser City Council direct staff to prepare an ordinance with findings of the proposed text amendments to the Kaiser Development Code KDC, section 2.114.04 subsection C, with the corrected revision to the language to allow composting facilities as conditional use.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council direct staff to come back with an ordinance and findings regarding text amendment, section 2.114, general industrial, with correction or update to section 2.114.04, sub C. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously, one absent, and that's Councilor Reed. All right. Item 7B, ordinance declaring a lien against property located at 701 Claggett Street Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon, and directing the city recorder to enter such lien in the minor lien docket pursuant to ordinance number 2019-808, regulating the maintenance, reconstruction, alteration, and repair of sidewalks, declaring an emergency. Public hearing is open. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney.
Thank you, Chris, Madam Mayor, and Council. This matter is regarding a sidewalk abatement situation. The Sidewalk Ordinance allows us disrepair of sidewalks as a nuisance and allows for notice to the property owner. As you know, under our ordinance, many cities have this too. So adjacent sidewalks is the responsibility of the property owner to maintain. After notice and failure to correct, the city abated the nuisance by repairing the sidewalk, and the total abatement cost, including publication and administrative costs, is $1,786. The property owner was given an opportunity to pay that and has not paid that within the ordinance provision timeline, and so it is before you tonight for public hearing and lien. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report?
I had a question.
Councilor Day.
And just to be clear, it says minor lien docket. What is the minor lien docket? I was just curious.
You know, that phrase has been around forever, and I don't know that it got changed when we changed the ordinance, but the city has a electronic lien docket. It's the same lien docket, interesting enough, that we put delinquent water bills. After a certain time, you're late, and you get a late fee, and then if you go a little bit further, it automatically becomes a lien on your water bills, the same place, and the same place we keep the very large LID liens. So the title companies pushed for an electronic lien docket for municipalities many years ago, it seems like now. And so most cities have it. I think it's required because the title companies were getting upset about different types of procedures for them to be able to check liens in municipal liens. So in any event, that's the process for it. It's provided, and then we go through the process. Council has to approve the lien, except for the water liens, which are automatic by our ordinance.
Just the question, Madam Mayor. So does this lien, is it a cloud on the title?
Well, if someone, I can just tell you how it works, because it happens, I don't know how many times. Transaction goes to close. The title company, in addition to doing their normal title search with the county and with their system that they do with the county, pings now, used to be a paper form, our electronic lien docket. If something pops back, they put it on, and as part of closing, that lien is paid in a normal transaction, if you will, normal bank transaction. The bank would require that to be paid. So as a cloud on the title, I guess I'd think about cloud on the title, for those of you who don't know, is something that's in the title but is suspect as being valid. So I certainly wouldn't characterize it as a cloud on the title. I think it's a valid lien. It's a municipal lien, but it's still valid. It's not a super priority lien like taxes or an LID lien, but it is a municipal lien, and under home rule authority, we have the right to do that. Most cities do that. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Johnson on the staff report? Okay, I don't have anybody signed up to testify under the public testimony for tonight. Anybody wish to address this issue? Going once, going twice. And, all right. Anything else from council before we close public hearing? Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilor Diaz, to your question, I think if you were to, this would be considered a lien that upon a refinance or purchase or transfer of title would be required to be paid off in order to issue title insurance from the title company. So any delinquent bills such as water bills, electricity bills, anything to that effect would show up on that title report and would be required to be paid off at that point.
The problem, Madam Mayor, is that the statutes specifically, and I had this email correspondence with Mr. Johnson today, specifically list out what liens can be applied as against real property, so that when I do a title search, those liens come up, right? Municipal liens, whatever those are, is not in that list. So my concern, my only concern, is that if we're clouding title to the point where somebody can, it's no longer a marketable piece of property, are we opening ourselves up to liability? You know, I'm going to go with what we've always done because, you know, but when I read this, I went, uh-oh. But that's just me being my real estate lawyer hat. I'm taking it off now. I'm being a city councilor tonight, so.
Well, I think it's fair to raise questions, especially with the knowledge base that we have here at the dais and so forth, and to make sure that we have clarity. And sometimes terminology does change over time, so that might be something to look into. I appreciate that. We good? All right, any other questions before we close public hearing? Public hearing is closed. Council President Smith.
I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill, ordinance 2021, declaring a lien against property located at 701 Claggett Street Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon, and directing the city recorder to enter such a lien in the minor lien docket pursuant to ordinance number 2019-808, regulating the maintenance, reconstruction, alteration, and repair of sidewalks, declaring an emergency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance 2021 declaring a lien against property located at 701 Claggett Street Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon, and directing the city recorder to enter such lien in the minor lien docket pursuant to ordinance number 2019-808, regulating the maintenance, reconstruction, alteration, and repair of sidewalks, declaring an emergency. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passed unanimously with one absent, Councilor Reed. That concludes our public hearings for this evening. That takes us now to administrative action. Item 8A is an ordinance amending Kaiser Development Code regarding section 2.313, accessory structures and uses, amending ordinance number 98-389. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney Johnson.
Thank you, Chris. Madam Mayor and Council, this matter was before the council, I believe, at the last meeting, or actually at the January 19 meeting, excuse me, whereas after the hearing, council directed us to prepare an ordinance to adopt that accessory structure amendment, which I have prepared and is before you tonight. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from council on this ordinance?
I had a question.
Councilor Day?
Just on the format, in the copy that I have, there's some is of the text is in red, some of it's in blue.
Yes.
I was just wondering why.
We kind of like to use more colors.
Gotcha.
But, sorry, I couldn't resist that. We have had some with purple when we've gotten real carried away. This indicates.
That's true. That is true.
Yes, this indicates, and I apologize because some of the councilors may remember, but I usually try to put that in the staff report beforehand. I think it was like this for council, or did I change this between then and council, Shane?
I think it was changed after planning commission.
After planning, yeah. The blue is my language after plan, or mine/Shane's language after planning commission. to let you know, hey, Shane and Shannon thought of something else after the planning commission, but we wanted you to be sure you knew where it came from.
Great.
So the blue language is from Shane/Shannon, some tweaks that I made, I think.
Perfect, thank you.
Great question. I like having the colors too, because that way I know where to go look in the long section that gets put in the packet. These are the changes, so I can zero in. But that's really helpful to know what the two colors are there for. Because after you adopt the changes from the planning commission, you go back and check that, the grammar, and you go, that's not working. All right, any questions on any of the changes that have been proposed or are in the ordinance? All right, Council President Smith.
I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance 2021, amending Kaiser Development Code regarding section 2.313, accessory structures and uses, amending ordinance 98-389.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an ordinance 2021, amending Kaiser Development Code regarding section 2.313, accessory structures and uses, amending ordinance number 98-389. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes unanimously, one absent, Councilor Reed. That takes us to 8B, order in the matter of the application of Chick-fil-A for approval of the Kaiser Station Master Plan Amendment, Area D, Kaiser Station, amendment of order in the application of Shamawa Station LLC, adopted September 8, 2020. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Attorney Johnson.
Thank you, Chris. Madam Mayor and Council, this matter came before Council on February 1 on the application of Chick-fil-A to amend again the master plan for Area D. And so with Shane's assistance, he did most of the work on this, we have that order before you for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the staff report? Looking. What's on the menu is not the question for the staff report. All right.
Probably chicken of some sort.
Very likely. What was that? That's what the cow says, before chicken. All right. Okay, Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick comment. Thank you for all the work on that. I think that the changes is going to be something that will benefit all the people in Kaiser.
Thank you. And I would also like to add, I'm pleased to be working with the tribal nations that own Area D, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, Confederated Tribes of Siletz. They've worked together for a long time to start to bring Area D to construction, and very happy to help them get to this point. Any further discussion? Or comments, questions? We don't have a motion on the table yet, do we? How about we do that? Council President Smith, would you put a motion on the table, please?
Yes. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt an order in the matter of the application of a Chick-fil-A for approval of the Kaiser Station Master Plan Amendment, Area D, Kaiser Station, amendment of order in the application of Shamawa Station LLC, adopted September 8, 2020.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt a bill for an order in the matter of the application of Chick-fil-A for approval of the Kaiser Station Master Plan Amendment, Area D, Kaiser Station, amendment of order in the application of Shamawa Station LLC, adopted September 8, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously with one absent, Councilor Reed. Item 8C is an order designating a no parking zone in certain areas of Hidden Creek Drive, Northeast Kaiser, Oregon. City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Chris. Madam Mayor, Council, staff was contacted by a property owner in the Hidden Creek subdivision requesting a no parking zone be established on Hidden Creek Drive at the intersection of River Road North. The request was made primarily because of the increase in parking on Hidden Creek Drive due to a change in parking requirements for apartments that have access off Hidden Creek Drive. This additional parking is creating a safety concern for vehicles turning off of River Road onto Hidden Creek. Staff has monitored this area for a few weeks and believe creating a no parking zone in this area will resolve these specific safety concerns. Staff is recommending a 90-foot section on the south side of Hidden Creek Drive and a 120-foot section on the north side of Hidden Creek Drive to be designated a no parking zone. The proposed no parking zone will be painted with yellow curb to clearly identify the area. There's really no fiscal impact with this proposal. Staff recommends council consider the matter, adopt the attached order designating the no parking zone on Hidden Creek Drive as indicated on the attached exhibit. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the staff report? Councilor Herrera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Bill, does that happen to do, anything to do with the charges of parking now at the apartments?
I believe it does. I was told that there's two sets of apartments there. I don't know which one it is.
Right.
But I was told that the apartments are now charging for parking.
Yeah.
And so people are parking on the street instead of paying the charge. I don't know if that's factual. I have not looked into that. But clearly something has changed because there's now parking there when there didn't ever used to be.
I was told, and this is just from a person that lives there, that they started charging $50 for parking there a month in addition to the rent. But and a lot of the folks, you know, just like reminds me of the old volcano days, remember? They park and they're all parking on the street, and I think that has risen. And we answered it correctly, I believe. Yeah. But I thought that's got to be the result there. I mean, the cause or whatever. So.
I suspect that's the case, yes.
Okay.
And when evaluating that area, I knew enough to know it's not going to stop people from parking on Hidden Creek. It's just going to move them to the east.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I chose the area to resolve the safety concern for vehicles coming off of River Road and onto River Road from Hidden Creek. We'll see how it plays out as we move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lawyer, the staff report says contacted by a property owner. Was this one property owner that has made this complaint, or did you actually hear from several people?
We heard from one individual, actually contacted Mike Griffin, but since that contact, there's been one other person that I know of for sure is a different individual, and I think there might be a third. I'm not positive. I don't remember the names. I think I'm not positive if the person that contacted Mike also contacted the mayor, or if that's a different person. But we've been looking at this, like I said, for a few weeks to evaluate, is there really a problem? And we believe that there is.
Councilor Kohler.
Follow up, there was a property owner that made a complaint. Do the people in the apartments, have they weighed in on this at all that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Will that create a fiscal impact for them, I guess is the question.
I don't think it's a stretch to say that when you designate no parking zone and people can no longer use that space, they're going to have to make a decision about what they're going to do in terms of parking, there, and whether or not they're going to pay to be in the parking lot, or they're going to be pushing further in the neighborhood, because that's a very likely scenario that will happen. And we see that all the time especially when we're looking at the parking requirements for multifamily, that if not sufficient parking is provided within the complex, then it goes into the neighborhood, and that does not build good relationships. However, by selecting this particular space, having to do with line of sight and acceleration, deceleration, I think that's a little bit more objective coming off of River Road. But yes, there will be an impact to people living in the apartment complex to make decisions about what they're going to do. Mr. Lawyer.
By my calculations, there's about 10 parking spots here, plus or minus, okay? There's room east of this area that's shown in the exhibit to still park on Hidden Creek Drive. This is not going to remove parking options completely. It will just move them to the east.
Right.
Or maybe a better way to say it won't eliminate the parking, it will just move it to the east, away from the intersection of River Road.
Correct. Councilor Duran.
So my sister lives in the apartments on the north side of the street, and I just asked her what the deal was, and she says that they come up with a new rule, 2 vehicles per unit. And any more than 2 vehicles have to have a permit, so that's where they're charging
Okay.
for the, but, because my thought was, every time I go to visit her, the parking lot is full. So it's not like people are choosing to park out on the street. I think there's just a lot of people in there. So yeah, every time I go in there, it seems to be a hassle coming, people coming down Hidden Creek to get in and out. So hopefully this will alleviate that at the intersection.
So is your experience then that the parking on the street is more likely to be either a third vehicle or people visiting like you are doing?
Yes, there is no visitor parking now, is what she said.
Gotcha.
So it's all permit parking. They have assigned spaces.
And that's something they can do within our parking requirements in our code? I'm getting a head nod from Mr. Witham.
Yeah, so generally, I think that's, when this, Mr. Lawyer and I talked about this a little bit, I think we've maybe responded to some complaints for parking for too long on the street as well. It's difficult when apartments are built or really any use, we have minimum parking requirements that need to be adhered to. And that's what we require them to build. Now, how they choose to use it is a whole nother issue. So in this case, that complex is, frankly, it's overparked compared to what our current set of standards would be. That I think it clearly speaks to the fact that when you have apartment complexes that are 2 and 3 bedroom units, you end up having more and larger families in those, which kind of speaks back to housing issues in general. But yeah, it would not, that complex exceeds our standards currently. So,
In terms of parking capacity?
yeah.
Okay.
Does that, Madam
Councilor
Mayor?
Day?
I may not have understood that last comment. You mean they have more than what they need in terms of parking?
Yeah, based on the code provisions, they actually
Thank you.
do have more. If that complex was being built today, the minimum required parking would actually be less than what they've built on that site.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I think that's what the mayor asked, but I wasn't sure, so appreciate it.
Partly, but also whether, they were going to be going under their requirement, or if they had to provide a certain number of spaces for visitors and so forth, which it doesn't sound like we have that requirement. Okay. Councilor Duran?
So, pretty much in all areas, the parking that is required by by our zoning is pretty much inadequate. It always seems like there's more cars than there is spaces for, that I've seen in around where I've been building. And I think it's a problem that everybody had hoped that mass transit would help alleviate a little bit, but it hasn't. It seems to be getting worse because more people are combining and living together and moving into smaller space, or smaller spaces. So there's more people living in what they expect in the original zoning.
This is going to be a good point for the Planning Commission to take up at some point about the parking requirements. Mr. Lee.
Well, I was just going to bring that up. Our parking requirements are in direct relation to the requirements given to us by the state to reduce vehicle miles traveled. So you can't just allow billions of parking spaces any longer. There are some pretty strict top-end guidelines that the state gives us in terms of how efficiently we're required to use the land that we have available to us in trying to encourage people to utilize multimodal transportation. So, and it's going to be inconvenient, and I think that is the point of some of those rules, is to make it inconvenient for people to drive vehicles.
Well, once COVID is over and transit can run at full capacity, that might be a
That will help.
conversation to have. But right now, people are having to use their vehicles. So that's, we're going to have a rock hard place and a cliff.
Okay.
Thank you. Good conversation. Anything else on the staff report? Okay, Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt an order designating no parking zones in areas of Hidden Creek Drive Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Kaiser City Council adopt an order designating no parking zones in certain areas of Hidden Creek Drive Northeast, Kaiser, Oregon. Discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously, one absent, Counselor Reed. That concludes, flip the page, our administrative action for the evening. Council President Smith, would you please read the items on the consent calendar for tonight?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Okay, consent calendar, item A, resolution approving extension of the cable television franchise agreement with Comcast of Oregon, INC, formerly known as Far West Communications, Inc., DBA AT&T Cable Services. Item B, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Salem Keizer School District 24J Safety and Support Response Team. Item C, resolution authorizing the city manager to award and enter into an agreement with Pacific Excavation, Inc. for Waterline Replacement Project 2021. Item D, resolution authorizing the city manager to sign Oregon Military Department Office of Emergency Management State Preparedness and Incident Response Grant, grant number 19-101 for water purification system. Item E, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into Kaiser Station Area C Reimbursement District Reimbursement Agreement with KS Reimbursement LLC. Item F, approval of the February 1st, 2021 City Council regular session minutes. And item G, approval of February 8th, 2021 City Council Planning Commission joint work session minutes.
Thank you very much. Are there any polls? I don't see any polls. Council President Smith.
I move that the Kaiser City Council adopt the items on the consent calendar.
Second.
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously with one absent, Councilor Reed. All right, let's go then to council liaison reports. And tonight, Councilor Duran, can I start with you?
I have nothing.
All right.
Last week, everything was canceled that I was supposed to be a part of, except for the chamber, but that stands, so.
All right. Thank you very much. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The chamber board did meet, but we had a pretty good report on that already. Marion County Commissioners met, and the one line that I got out of is we should opt out of stupidity, and I think that is perfect. And I attended the City Audit Committee. Mr. Wood, I'm sure will comment more on that. A little bit on the ice storm, just thank you for everybody. What did I say?
Sorry, my fault.
I like my 30 seconds back.
Restart the timer.
Just to re-announce the annual Kaiser Civic Center cleanup on Saturday, March 13th at 9 o'clock. We need a lot of people there. That's going to be a lot of fun. We had Oregon's 162nd birthday this week in the midst of all the ice storm, and that was interesting. We already talked about all the thank yous on that. Just a couple little quick things. The Scout motto and the Scout slogan. The Scout motto is be prepared. Scout slogan is do good turn daily. So this last week, we've had to have a lot of people prepared, and we've seen a lot of people that are willing to do a good turn daily. Thank you, Kaiser.
Very good. Does that make Kaiser a candidate for an Eagle?
Well, not an Eagle Scout. They don't have enough merit badges, but they can work on a project.
All right. We'll do that. No, thank you very much. That was a good reminder. Council President Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also was able to attend the Commissioner's Breakfast. It was a very, very interesting and very dynamic conversation with Commissioner Bethel and Commissioner Willis and the Sheriff. It was good to see all of them and really appreciated their perspective on what is good for families and communities and how everybody's a little bit different and families come in all different shapes, form, and sizes, and we should embrace that. And it was a really deep conversation I really appreciated. So that was great. On top of that, most things were canceled. We did have a Parks Board meeting, which was fairly short. I believe the next several probably won't be as short based on our current situation with the parks. And other than that, I would just like to congratulate my dear husband who decided that community service was a good idea, and he applied to take a vacant spot on the Detroit City Council and was appointed last week. So now my husband is on the Detroit City Council because we apparently are gluttons for punishment. So congratulations, Councilor Smith. And that's all I've got.
Yes, indeed. That's going to continue to build our working alongside our neighbors in Detroit. Councilor Herrera, how are you?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Busy with a lot of Zooms. LOC is, we have our Friday, and then we have, I try to sit in on some of the committees, and it's been interesting. I'm learning a lot. Bunch of Zooms. I also attended the Oregon Latinx Leadership Network, and LOC, bunch of them. Okay, and the 17th, or this, are we still having the COG? Has that been canceled?
That's been postponed till March.
Okay. And I understand they postponed the town hall also with
Correct.
Senator Wyden. Is that correct?
Yeah, everything with the one with
Anyway.
Representative Congressman Schrader's been postponed till Friday, and the COG has been rescheduled for
Everything
the
I wrote
10th.
here has been postponed.
Imagine that. I think there's this ice thing.
Yeah, well, Greater Gupser Neighborhood Association also has been postponed. I was gonna attend that also, and then, we're adjusting with all the stuff's going on, I guess, but, I wanted to make a couple announcements with our, the free food boxes tomorrow from 10 to 12 over at, my church over at St. Edwards, 5303 River Road, still remember. And I want to shout out to Amber Butler, who just retired from the fire department, and she's been there for 25 years. So, and it's been in the family, and that has been a great contribution from that family. I know Dan Woolley was there forever, he was battalion chief, we all know him. He retired, 10, 15 years ago or so. But that's a great accomplishment, and Amber has been very dedicated. Married to Brian Butler, who's also a firefighter. Last thing, I'll tell you somebody who's been in the press that you guys may not know too much about, and that's Aaron Zavala, who's the son of our police officer Zavala. And Aaron Zavala grew up right here in Kaiser, and I have pictures of him when he was this big, walking around Little League field with us, and it's great to see him be one. He led the Pac-12 in hitting in most RBIs as a sophomore. He's just an incredible athlete, and he's on the slugger watch for this year. He's going to do real well. Keep our fingers crossed. Anyway, I want to shout out to him because the dedication of that family, it's a baseball family, and his older brother Daniel played at Linfield, I believe, and that brings a lot of pride to a community, and not enough folks talk about that, but that's one I want to recognize him for that. And also, last but not least, today is my father's birthday. He would have been 100 years old today.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but anyway, that's all I got. And the last thing I want to say is, folks, that all the crisis, all the stuff we've been going through. I mean, like I was telling my granddaughter today, you go everywhere, everybody's got a mask on. You won't see that in a whole generation. And it's incredible that we're dealing with it. I mean, like I told Councilor Day, all we need is a volcano now. We've had everything else.
Please.
And knock on wood. But we're handling it with grace, and folks, of course, like they say, when times are rough, people are tough, and we are. Kaiserites are really tough, and our community coming together, my particular community with all the stuff that happened out there, and everybody working together out there, sweeping and cleaning up, and it's good to see folks step up and just do the right thing. I ask that we check on our elderly. I always worry about them because I remember when the winter comes on, when I worked for City, when people didn't have water and some guy didn't even let anybody know for 4 days, and it's good to check on your elderly or any neighbors that you feel that they might need assistance. Now's a good time to help. It's always a good time. It's it's never a bad time to help people, but this is especially a good time to show our caring for our neighbors. And so, and thanks again to Public Works. They were amazing. And I heard that from many people, so, and shout out to those guys because they're behind the scenes and they do a lot of great work. So that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councilor Day.
I don't have anything, Your Honor. There I did
You
it.
did it.
So I was wondering how long it was gonna take.
We had a bet going.
The proper way to refer to the mayor is Your Honor, and I just said, I have nothing, Your Honor. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Hey, just don't call me late to dinner, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Golly, I'm doing so well.
So just a couple of things to add. You've heard a lot of the really important stuff tonight. And I just want to give a shout out to the Midwillamette Valley Homeless Alliance. I am very honored to be the president of the board of directors. And during this crisis, just as we did all of last year, all of our local agencies have worked together. They've communicated on how to take care of people who are in need, especially some of our most vulnerable community members. Projects continue to be brought online for housing. The pavilion is our latest, but it is not there's others coming online to provide permanent supportive housing. United Way continues to work on their project for a tiny home village. That is getting close to signing paperwork, and then they will announce that project. Very excited about it. And I think most importantly that everybody's recognizing that it's not just the shelter, it's the supportive services and relationships that help people who are in those sheltered spaces succeed as people. And so we're going to continue forward with that model. I was able to share some of the work that we're doing through the Homeless Alliance and so many of our great community partners with the League of Women Voters in a Zoom webinar they had a couple weeks ago. That is now posted, and I'll share that link with folks who would like to see that. We were able to hear from Stephanie Bobb and Elizabeth Schrader from United Way, as well as Kristen Rutherford from the city of Salem. And they are really moving forward with some great partnerships and programs for people who are unhoused, unsheltered. And we want to show them the love and respect and dignity that they deserve as our fellow human beings. Everything else, like everybody's saying, a lot of things have gotten postponed. The Heritage Foundation Board did meet, that was before the ice storm, and still working on programs for all of the entities that reside within the Heritage Center, the Cultural Center next door, the arts, theater, library, and museum. So check out their Facebook page. They are doing Zoom classes for art. The library does do curbside drop-off for books. We have a new drop box. So you can drive up with your car and return your books right there at curbside between City Hall and the Cultural Center. These are very creative, wonderful volunteers who want to make sure that the arts continue to bless and nurture everyone in Kaiser. Coming up, it's reschedule. The Council of Governments annual meeting has been rescheduled from March 10th. So mark your calendars, councilors, for that. The Community Roundtable with Congressman Schrader has been postponed till this Friday, and hopefully we'll have power enough for people to be able to participate in that conversation. And Personnel Policy Committee will meet on the 23rd, and it was rescheduled from the January 26th. Also watch your calendars for upcoming work sessions. We have our council meetings, but also our work sessions, and we'll talk about that under agenda input. So that is what I have right now. So let's then go to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new or old matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. City manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and Councilor Kohler, you're welcome to interrupt me at any point here, so I apologize for that earlier. Thought I heard something and clearly heard it wrong, so never mind. And then also as an update on Amber Butler, so she has resigned, or she's retired as a volunteer firefighter, but she is a life flight nurse, so she's still saving people's lives.
Yes, indeed.
So one of our neighbors just a couple houses away, and great family, so. Lieutenant Copeland.
Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor. February 1st, Measure 110 came into effect, which really kind of shifted the way that we approach law enforcement and drug cases. So we have developed some new policies and practices around that, so that I'm not really sure the impact that it'll have on the community, but we will see. It should be pretty interesting. Hopefully, there's some type of look in about 2 years to see where the drug rehab centers are doing, if those are working for the people that need it the most. Over this period of time, the ice storm, we responded to 130 calls for service between Friday and Saturday, which might be a new record, I think, for us, but there was definitely a good collaboration between us and Public Works, so it was awesome. Our night shift crews couldn't have done it without the guys on the Public Works side. They were running around all over the place, just locking things down. Talking about retirements, Sergeant Greg Barber, 28 years on the police department, is retiring March 1st, so he will no longer be with us. We're going to have several retirements probably coming this year, names to be added later. But with that, we are going to, you'll see a recruitment open up pretty soon for full-time police officer positions and also reserve. So that should be coming pretty quick. So if you know anybody good people is what we're trying to hire. We don't need cops. We're trying to hire really, really, really good people that want to serve this community, and we believe that we can train them to be cops. So that's kind of our philosophy right now.
Leave my guys alone.
There's some really good guys up there. I really do want some of your
Leave his guys alone.
Yes, sir.
Tracy, coming back to you.
Oh, nothing, thank you very much.
Mr. Witham.
Nothing to add.
Mr. Wood.
This is just an announcement for the general public. If you thought your utilities might be shut off tomorrow, we have delayed that process 1 week in light of all of the weekend activities. If you are in need of assistance, please reach out to the city. We can help you and direct you to wherever you need to go to help get your utility bills paid. Thank you.
Mr. Lawyer.
Nothing more tonight, thanks, Chris.
Lawyer.
Lawyer. I wasn't going to add more to our ice storm stories, but towards the end of Bill's presentation, he talked about hangars. And I didn't get a chance to tell you today, Bill, but we had, after I spent most of Friday night listening, I live on the south side of Bob Newton Park. And after I spent most of the night awake listening to the trees fall in the park and wondering if they were getting closer to the house, I was up pretty early and went out front, and there was a tree, or half of a tree, lying entirely across the street, entirely blocking the street. And they were already out there, and it was the wee hours. I mean, it was barely light out, and it was hanging, and I was worried that not only is it blocking the street, but it's a hazard. It's amazing what a guy with a big chainsaw and a backhoe can do in about 10 minutes. And they just, boom, just put it right out of there. So they did a great job.
Thank you.
Any questions that didn't get to be asked?
So just to, because you went a little bit quick on it, but I'd like just people to really hear Mr. Wood. Assistance for people needing to be brought current on their utility bills. You come to the city, and the city will then help people do what?
We have some partnerships with some local agencies, the Salvation Army, those type of folks that do have some funds available to help people.
All right, thank you very much. I think it's a very important message to get out to people that we're not trying to shut off your water. We're trying to help make sure that the funds are used for that purpose to help them come current. Is that correct, Mr. Wood?
That is correct. I'd also like to add, if you just need some additional time, we can set up some payment arrangements and extend you out till the end of the month if that would be of help as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Written communications, I've got 2 tonight. One is from Christopher Silva, resident of Kaiser, inquiry about PGE. This is a resident who has some concerns about a medically fragile family member, and I have referred that individual to the Red Cross to seek assistance. And then an email from Mr. Jonathan Thompson, I think it was sent to all of us, regarding resident of Kaiser, written communication, basketball hoops. And so council will go ahead and read his request and let either myself or the city manager know if this is a conversation you want to reopen at some point. Okay? That's all I have on written communication. Agenda input. Our work session next week, February 22nd, will be from our work group that is working on the draft rules of procedure. So you'll hear from what they've been working on over the last several weeks, and then we'll have a conversation about the changes that are being proposed so they can go back and then bring us an updated draft. I will also then go over the tips and trips for success on city council, which I was going to do at our last training work session, but our conversation went longer than anticipated, and it was very instructive and very interesting. So I said, you know what? I'll just bump that to the end of February. March 1st at 7 p.m. we will meet in regular session, and on March 8th we will meet as, also known as, the Long Range Planning Task Force. That will be the entire Budget Committee members, so that's the entire City Council plus the citizen members of the Budget Committee. We are that task force. We will convene at 6 p.m. And Mr. Johnson, do we need to make any sort of arrangements at this point regarding meeting in person, or are we good to go?
I believe we're good to go until the next meeting in March. So we have it calendared, the next meeting, you'll make a determination.
Okay. And at some point, as this starts to look like long-term, we're not going to need to go back to Zoom. Our numbers are really holding. Maybe have a conversation about whether we can just make this ongoing and then bring back if necessary.
Right, and that's what I think I would anticipate we'll be doing, if not the next meeting, then the next time after, depending on the count.
Okay, thank you. And I can say that, yay, Marion County folks, our numbers continue to drop. Good job. And with all the fresh air and sunshine we all got over the weekend, outside moving branches and everything, there you go. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, the time is 8:52 and we are adjourned.